Parlay? You know what the funny thing is, I don't understand any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Any of the betting stuff, I have no idea. Oh, what did you guys bet on?
I said about an hour. We'll see though.
Midnight.
Isn't there something in here? This is for the first one. In here for, about the NDOT. Oh, contingent upon the NDOT.
It's gotta be contingent on that. Did you get the other one that you put here for you?
This is, oh, right here, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was, like,
Yeah.
okay. Yep, there it was, 360, okay, good, I was like, what, where is it?
Yep.
Okay, sweet, I knew I read that somewhere. So use that one, and not this one, that took some right out. That was on my mind.
The one in between, on vacant space.
Probably by the end of the week.
Zoning, building permit, architecturals, signs.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't gotten to that sign because.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We will call the planning commission meeting for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023 to order. And we'll start out with roll call.
Steve Hickman, Lake Enchantment.
Bethany Cody, Lake Enchantment.
Jim Johnson, White Oak Drive.
Linda Winslow, Norwood Street.
Eric Powers, staff planner.
Jason McCarthy, planning and zoning administrator.
Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Look at it again.
We don't want it.
We don't need election of officers, right?
Oh, it's my bad.
Oh, yeah, take that off up there.
I wasn't satisfied with your previous.
I know. We went through this last year too.
We did. Okay.
Jason's trying to tell me something.
Okay, now I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes from the previous meeting, January 11th, 2023.
I see you're nominated, Mayor Secretary.
Not
It was
me.
unanimous.
I told you what would happen if you.
I know.
Yeah, good job on that.
Thanks. You'll have to let me know what that entails. But I'll do it.
Somebody make motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the previous meeting agenda.
Minutes?
Minutes.
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay. Second.
I can second them.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Okay, now we have public comment. Anyone wishing to make any comments right now can come forward or wait till the agenda items.
Pass.
Okay. All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to new business. 6A, site plan review number 012523-1. Proposed 7,926 square foot restaurant, sit down, and 15,000 square foot retail facility. Subject parcel tax ID numbers 5208017-017-50. Property is located within the zone general business district. Applicant is Michael Conter, TBM Equities, LLC, 7563 Noah's Landing in Gregory, Michigan. Jason.
So we received this proposal over a month ago, and we've sent it out to our regulatory agencies for a normal review. As indicated, the proposed project is the next phase of development for the Shops Marquette development team. It will consist of approximately an 8,000 square foot restaurant and a 15,000 square foot retail facility. This would be on the property east of Fraco and east of the bakery, formerly known as the bakery. I understand now we're able to determine that it is Panera Bread. So this site will be under, if approved tonight, will be under some significant construction next year. Similar to the original Shops and Marquette development, the proposed aims to have multiple leaseholds on the same parcel of property. And then we can go through the standards of review that we've reviewed, but you can see here the property is located in the general business district. The land uses that are proposed are permitted by right in this district, and a lot of the similar land uses in the area are similar in nature to this proposed development. Your plan sheets were cut into kind of a north and south configuration, so this is the approved site plan from last year for the Panera Bread. You can see here how the parking is going to tie into these other developments, which we'll get into a little bit. Project compatibility, again, the land uses are permitted by right in the general business zoning district. With regard to site design, staff determined that the organization of the proposed buildings and parking area and landscaping appear to achieve a functional and safe relationship with the surrounding. The location of the building, the setback requirements, obviously they have a lot of room to work with here with regard to the development area. The parcel is quite large, and so none of the setbacks are really compromised in any way. See drives, parking and circulation. We spent a little bit of time on this one. No additional curb cuts are proposed with the project, so their existing driveway will be utilized in this capacity. The new development phase, as well as the proposed future retail space, will utilize the existing driveway off US 41. Further, and as a result of the foresight of the development team, additional cross-business access has been provided. So they negotiated with GFS. And essentially you'd be able to get to, from the Meyer commercial driveway all the way across to these proposed developments without having to get on the highway through a commercial access drive. So that's helpful with regard to the amount of traffic out on US 41. It is noted here that staff is recommending approval of this section of the site plan contingent upon the developer securing an approved MDOT right-of-way, so that when we look at our contingencies later on, that'll be one of them. The proposed parking on both of the developments. So here you can see there's just a Panera Bread here, associated parking. They've added some parking here, and they've added some parking for the retail space up above. All of that meets the requirements of our ordinance, especially with respect to the times when these businesses will be open. So the restaurant is more of an evening time restaurant, as I understand, the Panera Bread is more of a lunchtime establishment, and the retail space will have retail hours once those contracts are sorted out and they're able to attract folks to those spaces. As far as circulation around the site, the fire department has reviewed the proposed circulation plan for compliance with their apparatus needs with favorable results. Moving on to the utility plan. This would be the stormwater here, so they have a series of 18-inch storm sewer collection, and then there'll be a large retention basin to the north of this development. Off of the edge of the French drain, the large French drain that's existing there. The project will also utilize Marquette Township water and sewer, so they'll be connecting 6-inch water, 6-inch sanitary. I indicated in the email to you that there was a separate cut sheet that was provided. There are some changes to the routing of those utilities, and those will be approved and permitted by our Public Works Superintendent. So those kinds of things are in flux, but so far Lenny hasn't had any issues with any of the proposed so far. Fire prevention, the fire department has reviewed, conditionally approved the proposed site plan. Of course, as you know, as we get architectural plans and things of that nature, they'll be required to submit those. No known environmental issues at this time. H, landscaping and screening. That has been reviewed, and the buffer yards, actually there's not really buffer yards required there because the businesses are so similar in nature. There's no difference in land use intensity, but there are and is a number of landscape plantings proposed for both of the developments. Signs will come later, and those will be permitted separately by our department. Lighting, they did submit a lighting plan, which we'll look at in a minute here, and that does meet our requirements. They are proposing full cutoff downcast dark sky friendly lighting, which we require in Marquette Township for commercial lighting. And then 4 other factors: the applicant should require the necessary Marquette County building permits, of course, and a financial guarantee shall be submitted in the amount of 1% or $7,000 for the proposed construction costs to account for the completion of landscaping, buffer yard construction, and as-built plans for our Public Works Department once the development has been completed. These are the elevations for the proposed development. This is the restaurant here. And then their lighting photometric is displayed on the screen now. As such, staff is recommending approval of the proposed site plan contingent on the submission and approval of items 3C, 3D, 3E, 3F, 3I, and 4. And the development team, Mr. Brad Kerlins is here, and I believe Mr. Mike Conter is on the phone. Should you have any questions for them? And that's all staff has. If you have any questions of us, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Questions, comments? Planning commissioners?
Is Franco part of that property?
Yes, Breakowitz.
Yeah.
Brad, do you want to come up to the
Yep,
mic, just so we
absolutely.
can
Yes,
hear you?
yeah, thanks, Jason. So, Brad Crimmins, represent Brickyard, the property owner. We're gonna go a little unorthodox tonight. Our business partner, Mike Conter, I believe you're all familiar with him, met him before. He's stuck, and I use that term loosely, in Ireland right now. And he's agreed to join us here by phone tonight to discuss the project. He's been the main point man on this, so he's very familiar with everything that's going on, can give a more comprehensive overview of the project and answer any questions you have. So I'm going to put him on speaker here right now. Mike, are you there? Can you hear us?
I am here and I can hear you and I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, great. Can you hear him?
I'm very excited about this project, as you might imagine.
You had a question?
No,
No, okay.
I-
Linda?
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the amount of traffic turning off into there. So they're gonna turn off onto the road that goes to Meyer, past Lowe's, and then turn into GFS and go down that road? Is that what you told me?
They'll have an option to either utilize the existing driveway that they have now. As I indicated, they'll be required to secure a permit from MDOT, so they may adjust that in some fashion. They may not. They'll be determined by MDOT because that's their purview. We're concerned with on-site improvements with our site plan, of course. And then there is that cross access along the frontage of GFS all the way over to, you can get all the way over to the Alta Beauty if you want, without having to access the highway. So there will be some interconnectivity with that approach.
Multiple egress points to the
Yeah,
development.
yeah, I'm just concerned, I just know people have difficult times moving sometimes on some of the roads that are a little bit narrower, then they come off that highway and, yeah. So, okay, so MDOT makes those,
That's their call.
Decision.
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Will the north side of the site have to be filled in quite a bit because of the parking lot? And-
Right, well, not only the parking lot, but particularly
The
the
retail.
northwest portion of the property. They have a much higher level permit for the French drain that's in place there. That will need to be amended, as I understand, as they move forward with their final grading plan. So that'll be presented to us at a later date, but they have acknowledged that on one of the sheets that basically just talks about what they propose to do there. But that's, like I said, that's an Eagle permit, I believe it is, and that'll be amended at some point in the future to accommodate the northerly development there.
So we aren't amending, or we aren't voting on a site plan for the retail right now?
We are,
We are.
yep, both of them, yep.
Okay.
where does that access road, from what Linda was saying, where does that access road like come in or go along? Does it go like in GFS parking lot, right?
Yep, so you can see it like here, and it comes across, and it goes through here,
Yeah, or
through GFS's
park.
parking lot, and it goes all the way over here.
Yeah, that's always been my concern, because I don't consider that to be a service road. I consider that just to be driving across parking lots. The service road that goes from the west, from the entrance between Gordon Food Service and Lowe's, that's actually a service road.
I agree.
And I have a big problem with them driving across parking lots. That'd be 3 parking lots that are going in front of Frago's parking lot, GFS's parking lot, and Panera's parking lot to get to that area back there. And I don't think that's a good idea at all. I can't, you can't call that service drive in any stretch of the imagination as far as I'm concerned. I think that's a dangerous situation because you park on both sides of that to get to Gordon Food Service, both sides of that to get to Frago too, and you're having people cross there as people are driving past there to get to those other ventures. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think that's poor planning.
Well, I
And
appreciate.
I'm curious as to why you approve that so readily. You don't have any concerns about that at all?
I do, but they have an existing driveway. The access across the frontage is ancillary to their permitted driveway that they have for this development.
A permitted driveway, who's gave a permit to who?
Michigan Department of Transportation.
No, I'm talking about across Gordon Food Service. Did they give you an easement across there?
That was the agreement between Gordon Food Service and, go ahead, Mike.
Put that microphone down.
It's permitted between Gordon Food Service and ourselves pursuant to an easement that we negotiated between each other, no different than easement access agreements that we have with other participants on this property as well as other properties that we own.
Like, which other properties are in this area are like that go across parking lots?
Yes, that go across parking lots.
Yeah.
Just as in the case here.
It's not the case here.
Without incident, without delay, and we typically find this to be a beneficial opportunity for our customers as well as our retailers.
What does that mean? How is it beneficial
It
to?
provides,
Who's it beneficial to?
Opportunities for cross-shopping as well as for access, ease of access without having to get onto a major road in order to access these properties to do cross-shopping. It just makes it a bit more convenient, and it's a safe relationship.
Based on what studies is it safe?
It's not based on studies, it's based on 40 years of experience.
40 years of experience here, I don't see 40 years of growth, of development right there.
What other real estate professionals have done with their properties over time to accentuate the movement of pedestrians as well as vehicles amongst their properties.
No way do I see that as proper planning, traffic planning at all.
Well, we actually, this was part of a previous site plan. I think it was part of the, either Fraco or the Panera Bread site.
Yeah, and I had an issue with it then too.
Okay.
I think we all did.
Yeah,
Well,
There was-
I think
Just
that's
because of the
poor
parking.
planning. Poor, as far as safety goes, anything like that.
Movement amongst properties.
That's what a service road is for, not parking lots.
So,
It's not, we're not suggesting it's a service road, we're suggesting it's
I'm suggesting it should be a service road.
so this is Linda again, because you can't even see us if you're in Ireland. Lucky you, I bet you don't have any snow either. So are there any other options than that option of going between two parking areas? Is there an option to move the road over and reconfigure the parking areas? I mean, I'm concerned about the 80-year-old grandmother who just got out of her car at GFS, and she's not paying any attention to the person heading to the restaurant. She's walking right in front of you. And I know from experience that people don't go 10 miles an hour when they turn. So I guess we're just probably saying, what are our other options? And you can say to me, there aren't any, or you can say, we can look at it, or you can say, whatever you can say.
This is the option we have at the moment. This has been a negotiated option. This has been in place for over 2 years now without incident, and we don't anticipate, based on our experience amongst all of our property, that this would be an incident. And we typically don't have accidents of any high degree, and certainly involving pedestrians in any of our parking lots,
Okay.
or in our drive lanes, or in our drives.
I wonder if GFS would consider encouraging people to park not on that side. Right, Bethany? Yeah, if there would be a way that GFS would have their parking closer to their store and people wouldn't be crossing that. I mean, I think, I think we're all looking at safety here, and you're looking at safety, and yes, you have some experience, and so do we all. And, it's a new way to look at things. Restaurants are hugely popular in our community, I'll say that. So, we want the best thing to happen here.
I think we had talked.
A situation that puts our customers at risk at all from a safety perspective.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have done this if we felt that was a concern or a situation. And quite frankly, we find that it'll be less of a safety issue, not more of a safety issue, because they're not exiting onto 41, doing the roundabout, coming back around, and entering the property. It's just a slower movement with less obstacles and conflicts.
I think we had talked about before with that road going through there, to actually try and make it a road instead of just a road through a parking lot, because that's not really any kind of a road at the moment, and it won't be when this opens up. So I don't remember what was talked about at the time, if Gordon's were willing to think about that, or Fraco, but I think all of us might be a little more comfortable, or quite a bit more comfortable, with a road going through there like that, instead of just what's set up there now if we're going through parking lots where people are going to be walking back and forth, and a lot of traffic will be moving through there. Do you have any
I would just like to remind the planning commission that they have an access to their site off of US 41.
Right.
The cross traffic to
That has
GFS,
not been approved, by the way, yet, so,
Right.
they don't have any access yet.
well, the driveway is in
No, it's
place.
there.
We haven't
It's
approved
Franco's
the
driveway.
So
That-
what's
that's what we're using right now.
what's NDOT got to approve then?
If there's any work to be done in the right of way with regard to, let's say, a deceleration lane or,
Which is not there yet, is it?
there is
It
a
is
bit of a
there.
taper there, yes.
So then what's MDOT got to be involved for?
Because with any additional development, they're going to require that
And they have to approve it.
they have to review what's.
Okay, so it's not approved.
No, it is approved. It is an approved active drive permit.
They have a driveway there.
Okay, so MDOT's not
There
involved
is a
then.
deceleration.
MDOT is
So
involved,
they could deny it.
Potentially.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Because
That's all I'm saying.
they're adding square footage
That's-
to the
that's all-
development.
that's all I
yes.
wanted
They
to say.
would review it just like we would.
They have a drive, they have a drive cut there is what they've been permitted. Right?
Well, they have a current commercial driveway there.
So Jason, tell me what's what here. So one goes into Franco, right?
No, this would be Northwoods Road. This is the taper to the Menards
Oh.
driveway. They're the same size, the same radius. And if you're coming eastbound or you're heading westbound,
Yeah.
this would be the taper lane and then the turning radius to get into this proposed development, as well as the current Franco.
So Meyer is down farther,
Oh, yeah, we know. Mhm.
way down. Okay, all right.
So, for instance,
So people could go in at the Franco entrance.
that last slide denotes this area right here. Okay? So this was during the road reconstruction, when the roundabouts were being constructed. This is not a current aerial, because you can see the highway being, remember we had a narrow lane, now we've got a boulevard essentially through there with the median. So, yeah, this has all been adjusted and widened out a little bit.
So they can go in at the Franco entrance.
That's,
That's
the main entrance.
ingress
And
egress
so
of
that's where the
property.
signage hopefully will be, so that will
Correct,
encourage people to
correct.
go in that way.
Like I said,
That's correct.
Is that correct?
The service drive between Gordon Foods and this development is secondary.
Ancillary.
Frosting on the cake.
Correct. We developed a
Okay.
secondary means of ingress and egress to the property.
It's the same premise as putting in the road behind GFS that we did in an effort, because if you remember, the township was kind of developed without frontage roads,
Oh, yeah.
in succession during the 80s, 90s. And so this is their effort and our effort to improve traffic circulation in and amongst commercial developments.
So I'd be happy if the signage was there and that would encourage people to turn there versus going down farther. And I'd be happy if that road, some way GFS encouraged their people not to park back there. And, maybe all that will happen. Yeah. So really what we're just doing is looking at what,
Just this site and the property that's being,
Yeah,
developed now.
and your recommendation is to approve it.
It is, contingent upon some things, but yes, there's a lot of work that goes into these, and we've taken an equal of a look at this as we would have in a house or a garage.
Yeah, and the more I look at this picture too, that is similar to the Target area where they have some shared drives.
That's correct.
Going across the
Yeah,
parking
it's
lot.
very similar to the one that goes into Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
All it is an apron, but it does provide additional benefit to those who would like to cross shop.
So when the state gives, or puts an entrance in there, do they have any standards that they look at? I mean, when you put an entrance in, is there anything that's planned ahead of time that they have to tell them that they're putting the entrance in
They
there
have
for?
standards that that they will review and share with the developer, and they will come up with some things. There's also some flexibility here, okay? So one of the things that we need to be cognizant of is the fact that you have a continuous right turn lane coming off of HQ, which is over here. And there's a relatively short distance between that continuous right and this area. So maybe they would normally require a 250-foot taper. MDOT has the flexibility to shorten that based on certain situations.
Is there any possibility that the state could say, no, there's gonna be too much traffic coming in and out of here, we can't allow
They
this?
didn't give us any indication of that, no.
No, I don't believe they could deny us access to our property.
You have to provide reasonable access.
And this is based on spacing, and Jason said with the merge lane coming off of 492, when you're tapering acceleration line going into Lowe's Meyer, this is where that
Yeah, and this was
drive has to
discussed,
be. There's
the location
you
of
look
your,
at the spacing, there's not really the ability to, you absolutely cannot add another drive here based on the spacing, and you can't shift it up to the east or west either. This was discussed and reviewed with MDOT back in 2017 when we developed FRACO.
that's what I was,
And they were in the process of planning for this boulevard reconstruction process at the time. So we shared information plans with them, and this was part of the permitting process with Michigan Department of Transportation in 2017. And we constructed this entrance to the property based on that approved permit.
And at that time, they were aware of our goals to develop a much larger concentration of retail and restaurant buildings on the site. And in fact, we provided them with plans to that effect.
Who is, no, you guys are building the building and leasing it out to Panera and to Texas Roadhouse. So who actually owns Panera and the franchise for Panera and Texas Roadhouse?
The
I
land,
don't believe there's, the franchises?
the land remains in the ownership of Brickyard. One owner for the land. We'll be building the Panera restaurant, and the tenant that we're under site plan presently will build its building. We'll just provide them a pad with utilities. But we will be the owner of the real estate.
Right, but who owns the businesses? Who owns Panera Business and Texas Roadhouse?
Panera is owned by Panera, and the other tenant is its own owner, no differently than FRACO owns its business, TJ Maxx owns its business, but the real estate underneath that ownership is controlled by us.
Okay, so there's not a franchisor that's putting either one of these in?
That's correct.
So you guys are the franchisors or franchisees of these?
No, we don't operate the businesses. We just own the real estate and the buildings.
Okay, so who owns the businesses?
Panera owns its business, no differently than TJ Maxx owns its business, Olta's owns its business. The tenant to the east of Panera, whose name I cannot reveal, owns its business.
So these are both company stores then? There's no franchisor involved or
That is
franchisee?
correct.
Okay, so they're not locally owned then?
That is correct.
Okay. What's he saying about TJ Maxx? I couldn't really understand him.
Well, it's the same concept. They are
Same concept?
same
Okay.
concept. They're not,
So these are
it's not
both,
a locally owned store, but the property owners and the owners of the buildings are local.
okay,
That's our group. We own the property,
Right,
we
you
own
own
the
them?
buildings, and then
Yes.
lease them to
yeah,
the corporate client.
okay. So it's kind of like Red Lobster, where it's a Red Lobster store and there's not a local owner or franchisee that owns it then? These are both put up by the company?
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Yeah,
That is correct, but
Okay.
with local employees, local managers,
okay.
and local ownership of the property.
Do you know how many employees Panera and Texas Roadhouse will need roughly?
It varies based on peak times and the like, and I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I'm happy to follow up with both of the tenants we're presenting and see what they have to say for their initial employment staffing.
Okay, I'm assuming probably 100 for each store, that's a couple hundred people of employees. How's the parking for all that, Jason? Do they meet all the requirements for parking? I think I read that it did.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
there's plenty of parking.
Okay. All right,
And you have to remember that all three of these tenants have different peak times. Braco, obviously more of a destination.
right.
The Panera is typically more of a lunch crowd, and then the third unnamed tenant is a dinner evening crowd.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Do you have any anticipated dates for opening either one or starting the retail shops?
We expect construction for both restaurants to begin this spring.
And the retail shops, not this spring, that's kind of on hold till you get somebody lined up?
Until we find a tenant. And that's similar to what we did with shops at Marquette one.
Do you,
It gives us the ability to be more confident in our approaches to the high-quality national tenants that we prefer to deal with.
so with the 15,000 square foot building, are you looking to kind of like divide it into three, maybe 5,000 square feet or smaller, or that's all kind of up in the air right now still?
Any options on
It
the
would
table?
all be tenant driven.
Okay.
And just for the planning commission's information, once a site plan, if a site plan is approved, they have 1 year to commence and 2 years to complete. There is the ability within the language of the ordinance to extend that under certain circumstances, and I have the ability to do that.
So that'll be the same with the retail, 1 year and 2 years?
That's
Because we're
correct.
approving it now also?
Yep. Panera will be pushing the 1 year, but they had some challenges with locating rooftop HVAC systems, sourcing equipment, finalizing a floor plan. So I hope the planning commission understands that a lot of these negotiations and, I've been privy to some of the conversations from Mr. Conter discussing how long these projects take to come to fruition before they even get to us. And a lot of work goes into them. Not to say that we should judge them any differently, but that's just the nature of the business.
I don't think I have any more questions. I don't know if any of you do.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan for the proposed restaurant and retail facility and all those numbers.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I know you went past that. Where are the dumpster locations?
Well,
for
before
the-
we
Yeah,
do any
just-
questions, you have to have a second or,
And then we can
Oh,
discuss.
sorry.
don't hear a second.
Oh, second.
No second, okay. All right. So what's
Beth,
your-
I can answer your questions really quick. So on the, here's your dumpster locations here on the elevation. On the, you can see it on the retail space here,
Yeah, I saw it on the retail.
and on the
signs.
restaurant, it'll be away from the highway and out of view over here
Oh, okay.
on the north side.
And for the Panera one? We'll see it on.
Did I have it on, or is that what's part of last year's?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But it isn't out of sight behind the building.
So before we vote, Jason, can you just clarify what we're voting on? So,
You're voting on the site plan that's been presented to you, indicating the proposed construction of a 8,000 square foot restaurant and a 15,000 square foot retail space, along with the accompanying parking, utility connections, outdoor lighting, and associated parking.
and it meets all our ordinance.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
We wouldn't be here if it did.
Just so it's clear.
I wouldn't have brought it to you.
Okay. But it still has to meet the contingencies that you had mentioned.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Any discussion? I have a few things. As most of you here know, I've owned a restaurant for 40 years here in town. And it's kind of a hard one. I mean, I know we're just voting on the site plan review. You know, when you talk about development and, you know, who's it really good for? You know, I mean, obviously it's gonna hurt other restaurants in town here. Not just financially, but, you know, the big thing right now are employees. And, you know, by probably taking 200 more employees out of the job market when there aren't 200 employees in the job market, it's kind of a tough one. And we're all hurting for employees right now, and I know I've talked to other people in the area, and it's the same story. And, you know, I know it's a good thing for you guys, but, you know, along with the good can come the bad. And I don't think it's good for the restaurant areas, or the restaurants in the area. It's because of that. It's been tough sledding right now, as it is. And this is just gonna make it tougher for daytime and nighttime because you have both. And, you know, you get development, but then, you know, we get the dark store issue. And, you know, does it really help the township? You know, are you gonna build them and then say, this is gonna be a dark store? And, you know, I wish we could say, well, we're gonna approve this if you don't apply for a dark store, you know, where it costs the township a lot of money. But I know we can't do that.
I'll speak quite frankly to your comments, and I respect your comments. This land is privately held. We have zoning in place, and if they submit plans that meet our requirements, we are obligated to approve them.
I absolutely know that.
Regarding the dark store issue, that is a constitutional right by a property
know
owner
that
to
too.
do that. And so, until legislatively, that, if we want to call it a loophole, is closed, we are still subject to some of those things. That's no fault of ours or
I know.
any of our
I know.
employees or residents.
I know.
That is something that's a much higher level.
And I'm not
I do
gonna vote
agree.
against this, you
Yeah,
know, I mean, I'm gonna vote for it because of all that, but, you know, you guys are good company.
I understand,
And-
and if I may speak to the tax issue here real
Sure.
briefly. So, 2008, when we secured this roughly 70 acres and began developing it, the taxable value of all of that property was roughly $1.6 million, okay? As of 2 years ago, the taxable value of those properties was nearly $9.7 million. So we're talking a 600% increase in taxable value in our development over the last roughly 13 to 14 years, which equates to annually about $375,000 in additional property taxes.
Mhm.
So, I know some of the other stores, none of the properties that we still own, Shops in Marquette, Fraco, have pursued any type of tax reduction. The locally owned property owners still.
So as long as you own the buildings, the other companies.
We have not pursued that
Right.
on behalf of any tenants yet. I know Meyer has opted to pursue that, Lowe's has opted to pursue that, but we have not with the Fraco property, with the TJ Maxx shops, and Marquette property. So we understand the value of keeping tax money here. But the dark store seems to be kind of a misnomer, because even at that value, that lower value, it's still substantially more than what that property was taxed at when it was vacant land.
Oh, I agree, and I know that. And I'm not insinuating that you are, but, you know, some of the other stores.
No, I understand, but I think
Yeah.
there's been a lot of, I don't know if I want to call it misinformation, but a little misunderstanding regarding what that does and the taxable value of this property over time. I just need to point out that it's increased many times over since we started this development.
All right, but anyway, I just had to throw my 2 cents in for what it's worth.
So, understand completely.
Okay, let's call the question. All in favor?
Have to do a roll call vote on this?
No?
Hi.
Hi.
No.
Aye? No?
Mine was a no.
Okay, pass 3-1.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Good luck.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Okay, 6B, another site plan review, 012-523-1. Proposed 4,965 square foot banking institution. Parcel tax ID 5208-360-17200. Property is located within the Zone General Business District. The applicant is Steve Smith, 2 North Federal Credit Union, 1419 North 2nd Street in Ishpeming. I don't see the ad. This is 2322 then. West,
correct.
US 41 West, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Jason.
So, True North Credit Union, currently based out of Ishpeming and currently within the, well, they want to be in Marquette Township, so they have purchased the former Marquette Transmission and Carpet Specialist, I believe it is, building at the bottom of the hill on US 41. So here's where the former Bonanza is, current Superior Walk-In, Range Communication, and this is the gentleman who does Four Seasons, All Seasons Recreation, I believe. So this is the property that we're talking about. There's proposed to be a complete demo of the site, reconfiguration of the drive, of this drive, and then development of the site from obviously south to north. This project is also located in the general business district along US 41, and it is zoned, well, it's zoned GB. So this land use financial institution is permitted by right in that zoning district. These are the existing site conditions with utilities, which will be reutilized. Stormwater is proposed to be conveyed to the MDOT right-of-way. And then this is the proposed site itself. It's not shown on here, but the dumpster enclosure is proposed to be in the back. That was something that Kevin and I pointed out and worked out earlier. So you have parking, then you'll have, come around and go through your drive-through lanes and then back out. About a 5,000 square foot building. And that is the proposed elevation and design, which is also very similar in character and materials to their Ishmael store. So I wanted you to see that that was a quality. Of course, flowers aren't blooming there. It's probably a winter shot or early spring or late fall, something like that. But the architecture is very nice. So fairly simple infill development. Mr. Kevin Dancaro is here from UP Engineers and Architects, who is their applicant, and he'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
To me, I don't really see any issues here at all about anything. I don't really have any questions. I don't know if anyone else does.
Fairly simple project.
Yeah.
We're pleased to see that there'll be more green space on the site that's currently available to help treat stormwater, reduce that stormwater load on the MDOT drain. You know, the fire department reviewed it with their apparatus, everything worked out there, and they do have adequate parking for employees and customers. Seems to be an easy site to get in and out of. There's snow storage available, and like I said, there'll be added green space on a site that's pretty much almost 100% impervious at this time.
And there's only one way in,
Yep, one access.
so no back access.
So that comes back to MDOT. Originally, we had considered, because that drive to the north is a shared drive, you can see the property line actually goes over that drive. And right now, I think that the auto shop uses that drive. But MDOT wants to see a turning lane, obviously, so we're proposing to use the western drive to make that turning lane work, and then that drive to the, I'm sorry, I said north, but it's actually east, would just remain as it is. And there's also a pretty big grade change along that side of the site, so that's why we're not really adding any green space or anything like that. We're just keeping it as is, not to disturb the neighbor.
What is the grade there?
There's actually about a 2-foot retaining wall that runs along that entire eastern side. And then you can see by the contours it climbs up from there.
So there's a, I'll call it a walking path, a sidewalk, whatever we want to call it, will go right in front of the building? Off the highway?
No, the maintenance strip is within the right of way, if there's one there, yeah.
How come we can't read any
I
of that
can't.
stuff on there?
Well, that's why I put it in your packet. When you
Yeah.
screenshot these and put them up to the presentation, it's more for informational than it is to really get into the detail of it.
Where is it in our packet?
I'm sorry?
Where is it in our packet?
The original packet that we received.
It was at the end in a 11 by 17.
This sheet?
Yeah, they're all in there. It's gonna show up much more gray than it is,
No, I have an Alta land survey, but I don't have I don't have this set of plans in mind. This is what I got here.
Yeah.
there's a second set of plans. There should be. If for some reason the printer didn't print it, my apologies.
We just got like 2 pages. of
Oh, my bad. That didn't print the way I thought it
that.
would. This is it here, Steve.
I have a copy too if you
No.
guys
Okay,
want.
thank you.
I wonder why that didn't print.
So the retaining wall is coming down from the drive, so people don't.
You'd have to ask.
Yeah, so
Yeah, go show us.
I'll go to this screen. So you can see here, there's actually an existing staircase. The neighbor actually uses this as a parking spot, even though it's on this property currently. But that retaining wall runs along this edge, and then the back side of the property.
Oh,
There's a pretty big hillside there.
yeah.
And then here you see we've got, you know, from basically 2 feet at the end up to 10 feet or so by the time you get to the back. So that's part of the reason there's really not much that we could change with the site. It's kind of limited, you know, we're stuck
Oh, it's here.
in
No,
that
here.
cut.
Right here.
Oh,
that's it.
okay, all right.
And then that's the building neighbor.
So this is where the,
The retaining wall starts
Retaining
here
walls,
all the
okay.
way around.
So, and that return wall is currently, it might have actually came from Fraco or somebody like that, but we're gonna keep the retaining wall, but we're gonna reface it so it looks better. Because right now it's just plain concrete, basically.
you're not gonna discover any hidden right-of-ways there, are you?
No, and that's,
Checked on that?
yeah, we had discovered that early on with the last site too, but just dealing with the road commission, after we got approval from you guys, it just didn't fit the timeline going through circuit court with the road commission, which is the right way to do it.
Someone will do it.
Yeah, so it takes about a year just to get into circuit court, so.
Well, grateful that you found another site within the township.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So it says on the note here that the final drive, curb cut, and deceleration lane contingent on MDOT review and permit approval.
Yeah, it's similar to the last site that you just reviewed.
Yeah.
We have a permit in process, but I actually, MDOT was the first person I actually reached out to discuss this site. I sent them the preliminary plans. That's when we talked about keeping both drives. But under the direction of MDOT, we came up with this layout with the deceleration lane.
Will that be a shared drive with the parcel to the west? Your entrance and their entrance, will it be shared, or are they two
No,
separate?
it's completely separate. There's actually, it's kind of hard to see, but there's an existing, with that last project that they just did. This is all new. There's a curved island right here.
Okay,
That's brand new.
okay,
So we're just gonna cut right there.
okay.
So it'll be similar to what's out there right now and what they did with the other drives when they did that project.
So is the carpet specialist still open?
I'm not sure.
Are they gonna go somewhere, or are they just closing, and I don't even know if it's open still or not, or?
Looked kind of close today when I drove by. But I don't know.
They probably went to 40.
Yeah, that's Stornish for me, too.
Just wonder if they're going to another spot in the township, or if they're just,
I have no indication of that.
okay. All right. Any more? Linda? No? Steve?
No, good.
No more questions? Bethany? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion? And you're gonna start this spring?
Yeah, we wanna, basically complete full building design in about 60 days or so, so. We definitely wanna break ground this summer, and I think move the locations, the following year.
Okay.
Are you part of the credit union?
Yes. Yes, this is Mike Hanstock, Steve Smith's out of town, he couldn't be here today, but.
Okay, so you guys are the managers?
I'm vice president there. Steve Lamar is one of our social board members.
Okay,
We have a branch currently in Walmart, and our plan is to move that.
so you move out of Walmart to
Yeah,
this?
so we'll still be in the township. A little bit larger presence, a little more capability to serve.
Mhm. I'll make the motion
Okay.
to, do you want me to read all this, Jason?
No, you can just approve site plan number 012523-1 as presented, if you like.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve site plan 012523-1.
I'll second that.
Do you need to put that in there about contingent with MDOT, just like we did with the first one?
Yeah, as presented. Well, actually,
Yeah,
Because that doesn't
this
say it in
conti-
here, does
Yeah,
it?
it does, right here, the bulk contingents, 3C, 3D, 3E, 3H, 4.
Is MDOT one of those?
And that is 3C.
it's part of the site, yeah, it's
3C.
part of the 3C.
Okay,
Review and permit.
all right. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, carry, good luck,
Thank you.
congratulations. Nice looking building. Made all the real estate people happy, huh? Okay, unfinished business, Jason, anything?
Nothing at this time?
Do you wanna read John Mark's correspondence right now, or wait till later, or
I don't have any correspondence from John Marks.
you don't?
That was just left on the dais, yeah, you don't, that wasn't for you.
Oh, I thought it was sitting here for us.
No, that was a board matter.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I tried to
That's
clean
not
up
too.
their mess, but they need to
Oh, he
clean up.
just left them for all the
And
commissioners.
I
Yeah.
told them
Oh,
today not to touch anything.
okay, I thought it was for us.
You can take it.
Okay. All right. Township, 8A. Marquette Township Planning Commission Township Board Joint Meeting Request, April 22nd, 2023.
April 12th, that would be the
April
5:30
12th,
prior to
sorry.
our planning commission meeting, if you're available. Okay.
What time?
5:30, I believe that's what they're proposing.
Same as last time?
Yes.
The other
I
room?
think it's a five.
I'll firm up the time before April for you, but that was just correspondence, just to let you know that they were requesting a meeting prior to ours on the 12th. And I've also included in your packet, did I put the Guinevere?
It was right here.
Yeah, did I also put it in your packet, so I printed it twice. That project, under correspondence, let you know that the board received that pretty well, and they provided staff with the ability to negotiate a development agreement, or draft a development agreement, I guess, that would be ultimately approved by the board. I did reach out to Renovare after the meeting, and they indicated that before they propose a development agreement, or we work on that they want to work with the land bank to make sure that the things that they'll be asking of them will work with their project. So we should hear something back on that next month sometime.
So as an addition, there was discussion, and you may hear this out in the community, that there's a gravel road per se that goes to,
Access road.
well, it should be called that, yeah. And why it was put there and, what the intent was, and that may stay, but may not probably. Is that a correct way to phrase that?
It's not determined at this time.
From their
Correct.
plan, it doesn't look like they're allowing for that.
Correct.
Well, they do,
Correct.
they had a version of the
Two
plan that
plans.
does show it, and then a version of the plan that doesn't show it. Obviously, if it's not there, it limits the size of people's backyards, it limits the amount of units that they can place, and the amount of affordable homes they can put on the property,
If we leave it there.
if we remove it. If we leave it there, it does those things, it limits the number of houses, backyard sizes, potential parking for the other home types on the building, so that'll be something that I think the board will ultimately wrestle with, but at some point, we'll be looking at it too. They'll have to come through zoning at some point.
Yeah, so,
Very preliminary,
Yep.
but in my opinion, a very positive project so far.
They're kind of making it sound like it's a done deal and they're ready to go.
Well, that's what the media does, right?
Some media, not all media.
Sorry, nothing against Doug. He's kind of like boutique media,
Elite media.
bespoke, yeah.
Yeah. He's not fake news, that's for sure. Okay, is that it on Renovare?
That's it on Renovare. Then under item 8C, the City of Marquette's master plan, if you scan that QR code with your phone, you can go and take their survey for the master plan for those of you that may live in the city.
or own property in the city.
There
Right.
you go.
I did it, it was quick.
I don't think none of us could live in the city and be on this board.
That's correct. But we could own businesses.
Yeah. Anything more you want to say about that?
Nope.
Just that? Okay, I already did it. Didn't take long.
No.
Wasn't as good as ours, I thought, but maybe I'm just prejudiced. Jason, yours was much better.
What was?
The survey
Oh,
for our
thanks.
master plan
Well, that was Eric too. I mean, it was both of us.
in Eric, okay?
Appreciate it. We only have a staff of 2. I know they have a lot more staff in the city than we do, so thank you for the kind words.
Now, don't put that in word on the street. I don't need inspectors from the city at my place. We'll get him back for
Who
saying
said
that.
that? Jim Johnson. Hello, Jim.
All right, Linda, you're up. Township Board report.
Okay, so you guys are all getting the minutes, right? And the
Yep.
packets? So I'm not gonna go over that. I'll just remind you that the meetings are now on Wednesday and they're gonna start at 5:30. So they're opposite these meetings. We did meet today, to talk about, our community, or our priority goals for 2023. There was much discussion about 5-year goals and 10-year goals and what were needs and what were wants. And so as a planning commission, or Jason will probably do the recreation stuff, you know, what do we need in the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years, and what do we want? There was a bit of discussion about a roof over the ice arena. So you may hear more about that, and you may not. Yeah, that's what I took
Thank
away.
you.
That's what I took away today.
What happened with the meeting about promotions? I didn't see anything about that.
Promotions.
Yeah, was that Monday at 3:30? About your events, not promotions, but events?
Yep, that, we decided as a township board that we would no longer run 2 of the events that have been run by the township. We're no longer running the car show. Somebody privately is going to run the car show. And we're no longer running the Christmas tree lighting event privately. We are gonna continue with the event in the summer, Community Days, and I'm looking for volunteers to run some things at Community Days, just a one-time commitment. You can run whatever it is that you think might be fun, like decorating. You can't run the beer tent because we don't have one. But
You could have one.
We could have ice cream, we could have lots of things. So ideas, I like ideas. I'm not really in charge, but if someone doesn't step forward and be in charge and or decide to do it by March 1st, I think there won't be a Community Days. So
Okay.
yeah, people really like it, I guess. I've never, yeah,
Is that always a good turnout? I went to one of them, but I
yeah.
don't think you haven't had one for a couple of years because of
Oh,
COVID, I
no, they
think.
had them last year.
Did they?
Yeah, so, yeah, so we'll see.
Okay.
There is money to buy stuff. Maybe Eric will wanna do baby games. I think. You never know. You never know who's gonna help.
Mm-hmm.
Doug's gonna help. I already asked him. Yeah, so. And I did tell him, one other thing, Jace. I did tell him that they said the park idea was dead. Or kind of like it wasn't gonna happen, and I said, I don't know that it's dead.
Who said that?
Someone on the board. And we did talk about, Doug can help me too, we did talk about looking at a way to do some funding for matching grants, having like a line item, I would call it.
Yeah, the
And we talked
township
about-
board needs to budget money for recreation.
And we talked about the marijuana money.
There you
going
go.
Directly there. So,
That's what a
people
lot
kind
of,
of liked that idea.
that's what a lot of
after I
other
said it.
townships are doing.
Yeah,
With regard to the proposed park property, I will say that the family is still very engaged and excited. We just simply did not get the grant that we applied for.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too, but, you
Yeah.
know, and I might have misunderstood what they were saying down here. Not on that it? Anyways, so you might see a motion to move the marijuana money, I'll call it. It's not really marijuana money.
It's an excise tax.
Yeah, I shouldn't call it that. Into a fund that will be used for grant match.
That would be helpful. The Recreation Committee met, but did not have a quorum. We had some people out of town. So they will meet next month and elect officers. Just a general discussion took place, no decisions or anything were made. Roads?
Road Committee met on January 3rd. We elected officers and decided 2023 meeting dates. Those meeting dates will remain as they were in 2022, which is the first Tuesday of the month at 3:30. And officers are Pete LaRue as chair, Stan Sapika is vice chair, and Karen Blake is secretary.
Planning and zoning reports, now that these site plans are complete, well, they're in process. We'll still be getting other things to administer as they come forward. We'll be working on both the residential solar zoning text amendments and the affordable housing zoning text amendments to be prepared for your February 11th meeting. Things to consider, things that we could consider adjusting the ordinance to try to incur more affordable housing. So looking at various housing types, the blending of land uses in certain areas where it might be applicable, certainly getting rid of some of those multifamily duplex specifics that are in the ordinance that I know we've discussed before. And then I know that Eric met with Ben Schimpf today from Peninsula Solar. Actually ran into Ernie Johnson in the grocery store over the weekend, and he said, you know, well, Jason, I had one more comment about that housing proposal from Renovate. I said, well, what's that, Ernie? And we're expecting the worst, of course. He indicated that they should all have rooftop residential solar on their buildings, and I thought that that was a very thoughtful comment, and I relayed that to the ladies from Renovare, and that was well received by them too. So there's lots of incentives from the, well, not lots, there is an incentive from the government right now to take advantage of those tax breaks, so perhaps that's something that could be worked into the plan and be a true demonstration site for affordable housing in Marquette Township. I do expect to see at least one more site plan hopefully in the spring.
Please tell me it's not another restaurant.
No,
Or bank.
It's a church.
actually a lot, I've read that, my research anyway, says that having numerous financial institutions in the community is actually a sign of a healthy economy. So hopefully that's true.
Hey, I was gonna ask you, well, do you have anything more for planning and zoning?
I don't, unless you guys have any questions for us.
Well, it's kind of, I'll ask it now instead of comments. With the old Kubota building there, I noticed they tore down part of it. Is that sold, or do they just, maybe it's not Kubota, but John Deere?
Oh, the former Michigan Sales.
Yeah.
Yes, that building has been purchased by Honor Credit Union
Oh, jeez.
and is being demoed currently. There's some asbestos there, so they're going kind of slowly and really picking it apart delicately. But that has been purchased by Honor Credit Union. They submitted a demo permit from us, and I suspect we'll see a site plan from them.
That's a small site for credit union.
It is.
Huh?
Should be fun to receive a site plan on that.
Yeah, especially with all the problems over there on the side, the erosion that she had before.
Yeah, some of that has been mitigated, but yeah, it's certainly an opportunity to address those things. As you often have with an infill development, you really get to take a fresh look at the site. So yeah, keep that in your back burner.
Okay.
Some
Linda,
comment time?
go ahead.
So Jason, what happened with the people on the trails behind someone's house, going into someone's property behind the hotel?
Dave Wagon.
Oh, sure. Well, that situation I think has been mitigated.
Oh, good.
And I believe that there is an offer to purchase Dave Wiegand's property by the hotel owners. That was the last I heard.
That portion that they're using.
No, all
The
12
whole
acres.
shooting match, his house, everything?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm selling everything.
I got it. I just, I think it's more of a bookkeeping question or a question that I have. So we had 2 site plan applications today. And in your site plan review of the other factors, there's a financial guarantee of 1%. What's that 1% of?
The estimated development cost.
Okay, so Fraco estimated their cost at $700,000.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a typo. Thanks for bringing that up. I think it might be 7 million, but I'm not.
I would guess.
Yeah.
I would guess. But you charge them $7,000.
Right, but if
Because
that.
that's 1%.
But if it was a typo, I'll get back with Brad and say that check needs to be more. So they've been very good about
That leads
that.
to my next question. So the credit union is a $3 million project, but you only charge them $3,000. That should have been at least $30,000, I would guess. 1% of $3 million project, right? Because they said that the project's gonna cost $3 million. in your notes, you said 1% of the project cost is $3,000.
Okay, well, I will correct that.
So that should be 30,000.
Yeah, and then they only submit those if the site plan is approved. It's kind of like a escrow thing.
Yeah, no, I got you. I just want to make sure that we're all,
Appreciate that.
And I noticed on the site plan that was submitted by, they list DT&E as the energy supplier.
Yeah, we
I don't
saw
think
that.
that's right. And the city of Iron Mountain has water and sewer. That's probably not right either, I would guess. right?
Correct.
Okay, so,
Do they get that money back?
Yes, provided that they suffice all of the requests that we have. So it's landscaping, buffer yard installment, so to make sure that, all the trees and bushes get put in. But more importantly, it's about getting the as-built of the utilities so that we know through a CAD drawing that they deliver to us, that we know where all of the utilities are located for future reference.
So they can put them into the system.
Correct.
That's
so,
good.
and just so, out of my own curiosity again, Fraco said that they're gonna provide the pad for the restaurant, name unknown. So who owns the restaurant building then? Fraco? They don't own it.
No, Crimmins.
But no, he said they're not building it. He said
Right,
that
he did say
the
that.
franchisee is putting the building up.
That's correct, just like.
Okay, so they
TJ
own
Maxx.
that building, and still, there's no land division application required, even though the franchisee owns that building on that land. Is that correct? That's your interpretation of that land division ordinance?
They own all the land. It's contiguous ownership.
We went through this before, and we had that, the attorney's opinion, when Panera, before it was to be unnamed, sure, you can have the footprint of the building and not be considered to be a land division application. But the second they put that drive-through around there, that required that there be a land division application on there, and that was the attorney's opinion. Do you concur with that opinion?
I occur with our attorney's opinions.
Okay, so
Yes.
anyway, did you make them do a land division application on that?
No, I'm not reading what you're saying about the
The
drive-through.
Panera, the whole discussion with Mr. Conter was, no, because the building is leased to different people, it's not considered a land division application because we control the building. But according to Roger Zappa, the second that there was anything additional to the footprint of the building, such as a drive-through, roundabout, that kind of stuff with, whatever, stanchions, ordering stations there, that required a land division application.
I will review that.
Okay, so I would assume that we should insist that they do land division application for that. And again, I think the same thing with Burger King. If that's something that they developed, that also has a drive around. So the footprint of the building may be considered technically not a land division application, even though it's a long-term lease. The fact that they have that property developed outside of that building, that should also be a land division application too. So I don't think we should get so loose with these land division applications and not insisting that they do it. If I had a 40-acre parcel and I split a parcel off there, I would be required to do a land division application to make sure that it fit zoning, all that kind of stuff. So to allow a developer like that to say, we don't need that, they don't do that in malls and stuff, so what? I think we should insist on that kind of stuff. I don't think we should get too lax with that. That was put into state law for a purpose, and I don't think we should just ignore it.
I don't believe we're breaking the state law.
I don't think we're breaking it, I think we're playing loose with it. Again, the indication from Roger Zappa was, yeah, a building, that can be not considered a land division application. But the second there's development outside of that building for that building's purpose, there's a land division application that has to be applied for a lease, and that's what it is. And a lease more than a year, if they're putting up, if some restaurants building their own building on a piece of property, that's going to be there for more than a year. So I think we should really watch with these land division applications to not let people say, we don't need any of that stuff. We know what we're doing.
I'll review
I'm
that.
concerned about that. I did land division applications for years. I understand that stuff pretty cold, and I think we're letting them get away with it.
Thank you, Steve.
Are you allowed to split those parcels up like that?
Well, that's what the land division law is for. It's part of the Subdivision Control Act. And there's various stipulations on how things are done and what they're done for. And there's reasons to do a land division applications for sale, lease, long-term, that kind of stuff. And when they do long-term leases, the same thing with that radio tower that they put up there, right? It had a radio tower, a fenced-in area. That should have been a land division application. like that. We didn't insist on it. I think that was wrong.
So if the company does something to the land themselves, what if they have the developer put that fence in or put that drive in?
And then they lease the
They're
drive.
leasing it. It's a lease. That's what triggers that land division application. Doesn't matter what, you know,
Doesn't matter who puts it in, if they pay the developer to put it in?
it's, you know, it's a lease. It's like a sale of property. A sale of property, there's a land division application. A long-term lease, there's a land division application. You have to control how land is divided in your township, and that land division application gives you that authority. So you can control that stuff and keep it from being unchecked. That was the whole point of it. So, you know, I would take a good hard look at that.
So then what do? You just apply for something to
Yeah,
get
you
it
apply for a
approved?
land
then?
division application, and you have so many land division applications that go with the property. Okay, so if you have 40 acres, off the top of my head, so you get 4 splits, 10 splits, 8 splits. You can have a piece of, you can have a 3-acre piece of parcel, 3-acre parcel that you can have 4 splits on. But if the zoning's 3 acres, you can't split it.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of that. You know, you can, there's splits that are provided to the property, but they're contingent on zoning. You know, so, and, you know, zoning is our purview here, so I think we gotta keep an eye on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for some reason I was under the,
Roger concurred with a building. He said that's separate, but once you develop outside of that building and there's property assigned to that lease that is besides the lease of the building, then that has to be considered a land division
yeah, like I said, I'll take a look at it.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
We can't let this get out of hand.
Isn't that what had to happen with North Iron Church too? Wasn't
Well, that was
land
different. We utilized the common wall division there. They wanted to buy the property and separate it off.
Right, yeah, that was actually a purchase, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and it was literally,
The land
the
was
wall
conveyed.
was a property line.
Yep, the ZBA approved a common wall variance, because typically, otherwise they would have had to separate that building out to meet the setbacks. But we worked with that developer to make that happen in a challenging situation.
I see what you're saying though, but like True North, they own the land and the building, so they can put their drive-through around, because it's all theirs. But when it's somebody else's.
And you know, the representative for Crimmins, the gentleman from, I don't know where the guy in Ireland, he had a big spiel about why it didn't need a land division application, because that was the first thing he came out of the box with. This doesn't have to be considered a land division application. So he was cognizant that there was some question about that, I think in the original correspondence when they started doing this kind of stuff. So like I said, and then we had Roger give us an opinion, and then and Roger said, fine, but if there's anything ancillary to the building itself, it should be considered a land division.
Would there be a lot involved if we asked for a copy of the Land Division Act for that? I mean, is it like this thick or this thick or?
It's very tedious
Yeah.
reading.
Would we even understand it? Or is it like surveyor stuff?
You can probably
You
find
could
it.
probably
It's part of the
understand it.
Subdivision Control Act, and it was just to keep people from developing like spaghetti strip parcels where they're like a quarter mile long and 50 feet wide, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, there was that concept, so I think, and that was brought about because of unchecked development. So, like I said, we can't just have unchecked development. The fact that they say, well, we own the whole thing, the fact that that steakhouse, you know, is gonna be a building that the steakhouse company builds, I'd be real careful with not requiring a land division on that thing.
We'll review it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're done with that. We'll move on to public comment. I only see one public here. And he says, don't want to talk tonight. Okay. How about additional comments by planning commissioners?
Where was Denny tonight?
Not feeling well.
Really must have been.
Yeah, what do I have to do as secretary?
Sign the meeting
Take
minutes.
notes all night?
Got one with me
I think
though.
you're doing a heck of a good job.
Thank you, okay. Okay, just let me know, Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like something I can handle.
Those are short, Dan.
Okay.
Not bad.
Anything, Linda? Anything, Bethany?
Thanks.
I don't have anything either, so meeting adjourned.
Cool beans.
Okay, thanks for coming, Doug.
It was interesting.
It's like old times. Back